Welcome to the December 15th, 2025 meeting of the Long Meadow Select Board. This is Select Board Vice Chair Vineet Hemavati. I'll be chairing this meeting as our chair, Josh Levine, is joining us via Zoom. I will be confirming that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dan Zorko?
Here.
Andrew Lamb?
Here.
Josh Levine? Here. Okay. I don't know if we can hear you, so you may have to play around with that. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lynn Simmons.
Here.
This open meeting of the Long Meadow Select Board is convened in person and via Zoom webinar as posted on the agenda and town's website, identifying how the public may join. There's no chat or Q&A function. All the materials for this meeting are available on the agenda posted on longmeadowma.gov. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. This meeting will feature resident comment. For residents attending the meeting in person, please raise your hand when we get to the comments section of the meeting, and I will call on you to approach the microphone. For residents participating in the meeting via Zoom webinar format, please use the raise hand icon at the bottom of the screen. The meeting moderator will promote you to panelist, unmute you, and give you permission to speak. If you join the webinar by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and *6 to mute, unmute. Residents who wish to speak will identify their names and addresses only. Each individual is afforded 3 minutes for comments. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. If anyone in attendance is recording this meeting, please announce yourself now. Okay, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and we will move into Select Board announcements, and there's just one announcement tonight. Town offices, the Town of Long Meadow municipal offices will close at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, December 24th, and will reopen on Friday, December 26th. Offices will also close at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, December 31st, and will reopen on Friday, January 2nd. We wish everyone a happy holidays and a safe and healthy new year. And with that, we will move into resident comments. Is anyone here to make a resident comment? No. Okay, Mike, do you have anyone online?
I do not see anyone with their hands raised.
Okay, great. All right, then we will move right into the new agenda item that we've added, kudos and plaudits. And Lynn, did you want to talk about this one?
I'm happy to, if you would like me to read it. Let me just see if I can get it to open here. 1 second. I can just go off script here. So this is a great one. I'm very happy to give you a background on. So when our offices vacated Town Hall, I had been doing a tour of the building to just see what we had left behind, and had gone into the old meeting room on the first floor and noticed a beautiful bronze plaque hanging on the wall that said Fanny Stebbins Refuge. And it went on to explain that it was a registered natural landmark. And I thought it was very odd that that plaque was inside of a building. And so I had actually gone to my conversation with the town manager at the senior center or the adult center, and ran into Jim Dorschner from the Fanny Stebbins group, Friends of Fanny Stebbins. And I talked to Jim after that conversation program and mentioned about this plaque and said, would there be any interest in placing this down at the wildlife refuge? And so Jim went back to his group and they said, absolutely, this sounds great. And Jim worked with Dave Sagan from Fish and Wildlife, and I worked with the DPW to locate a stone that the plaque could be affixed to. And DPW placed it down there at the trailhead at the West Trail parking on Bernie Road. And Jim coordinated with Dave to place the plaque on the stone. And so there is a picture in the kudos and plaudit, just showing it affixed to the stone. Sorry, Mike. But just a really great positive story about a bunch of people coming together. And now we have the plaque placed in a public area where people can see it when they are visiting the trailhead and understand what a significance this natural resource area is for the town. And I think Mike's going to bring it up for us.
There you go.
Great. Thank you, Lynn. And Jim, since you're here, do you want to share any remarks about it or anything like that?
No, it was just a pleasure to know that such a thing existed, and we were just thrilled to get it out there, and we're always trying to get more attention and visitors and, you know, all that sort of thing. And I just wanted to add one other thing. I've already mentioned this to Lynn and to Sean as well, and I have to thank Sean. He did a great job on everything. And that is, we need to get a wooden guardrail in front of that, like there is around the rest of the parking area. Because we've already had one incident early on where some person ran their truck into it and knocked it over. But it's now in concrete, so that's, but we do need to get that in. And I just want to say that the Friends of Fanny Stebbins are happy to pay for that guardrail, and I've told Sean that and Lynn that. And so just when that happens, we're happy to pay for it and do our bit. And there you go. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Great. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Yeah, and thank you for all your work on it. Yeah, really appreciate it. And then I just have a couple of kudos plaudits myself. The first is just, I want to thank Mike and some of the other town staff involved in the new town website. It launched earlier this month, and it's, I think, a major improvement. It's much easier to navigate, and some of the things that I think folks are looking to when they go to the town website are much easier to find, and they're highlighted in a much better way, and it just looks like a modern update. So thank you, Mike, and everyone else involved. And there's also some very cool drone images and videos on the website as well of the town. And then I just want to thank the Longmeadow Fire Department again for doing the Santa Run yesterday. It's always such a hit in town. Everyone loves it. So thank you to the Longmeadow Fire Department. And I also want to thank our first responders, the police and fire department, for the folks that had to work over Thanksgiving, and then the folks that will have to work over the holiday season coming up. It obviously means so much to our community that they're willing to do that and spend time away from their families to make sure that our community is safe. So I want to thank them in advance for that. Anyone else? Anything?
I think we should thank Lynn and Lena and Viltoro and all the volunteers who helped put on a great Veterans Holiday luncheon on Sunday as well. That was a great event, very well attended, and it's great to honor those veterans in our town.
All right. And if there's nothing else, we will then move into interviews and appointments. So we have got a few interviews to conduct tonight, and we will start with Elliot Greenberg interviewing for the Board of Health. Thank you for coming back after the miscommunication last meeting. And you're seeking reappointment to the Board of Health. And Mr. Greenberg, if you could just kind of share why you're seeking reappointment and kind of what your experience has been on the Board of Health.
Well, first of all, it's not actually reappointment. At the moment, I'm a non-voting member of the Board of Health, and there is an opening to be a voting member. So I'm applying for that position. I've been a resident in Longmeadow since 1991, and a physician. I recently retired in September, still getting used to that. But I've been active in the community, both as a member of the community and also in healthcare. And I've enjoyed being on the Board of Health, even as a non-voting member for the last few years, and would really like to continue on as a voting member. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you, and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, sir.
Anything from the board? All right, well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
and
you.
We'll be voting on your appointment at our next meeting.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Elizabeth Marinelli seeking an appointment to the Cultural Council. Thank you for joining us, and if you could kind of just start with your name, address, and why you're seeking appointment to the Cultural Council.
My name is Elizabeth Marinelli. I live at 9 Overbrook Lane. I'm seeking the appointment because I've attended many events over the years that have been sponsored by the Cultural Council, and I was approached by a friend recently who I worked with on the library board. Several years ago, I was on the library board for about 15 years. And it sounded like a really nice way that I could get more active in town events and contribute.
Great, thank you so much. And any questions from the board?
Thank Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, we'll be voting on your appointment at our next meeting. Thank you for joining us and for applying. And then we've got Caitlin Howard seeking appointment to the Historic District Commission.
I believe Caitlin was one of the ones who wasn't able to confirm with Peggy, so I think we could post.
Skip, okay. All right, we'll come back to Caitlin. And then we've got Daniel Aldrich seeking appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. No, I think we've got your materials.
I didn't
when you.
put anything in the application online because I wasn't sure exactly what you wanted, so
Okay, I mean,
If you want
yeah.
to give me one after, that's
I'll
fine.
give it to
I can
you before you leave,
distribute
just so
it.
you know a little bit about me.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
And then, Ms. Aldrich, if you could just start with your name, address, and why you're seeking appointment to the
Danielle
Zoning Board of
Aldrich, 175 Pleasant View Ave. I've lived in Long Meadow for 11 years. I've spent nearly 25 years working in the real estate industry. I currently am an investor and manager of commercial real estate, and I feel like my experience is probably a good complement for the needs of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I would love to be able to serve the community and give back, and I recently have more available free time. I'm not traveling as much as I used to for work, and so would love the opportunity to be more engaged.
Great, yeah, thank you for wanting to get
Yeah,
involved, yeah.
yes.
Any questions from the board? Okay, great. Oh, yeah, Josh? Oh, Josh, I think we still can't hear you. Let's see.
Try again, Josh.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Great. So the ZBA is one of our more specialized boards, or at least it comes into my orbit quite a bit. Have you looked at any of the recent, or have you attended any meetings or looked at the agendas to see what kind of work the ZBA does?
Yeah, I did read all of the minutes that were, or the agendas that were posted on the website, so I did see the type of appeal requests that you're receiving. I have not attended any of those meetings in person, so no, but I did familiarize myself with this sort of requests that you're receiving and have to make determinations
Great.
on. Mm-hmm, yep,
Great, thank you.
yep.
Great, thank you. Anything else? Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to pass along your
Yeah, I'll
resume
pass it
to
on.
Mike, and then we'll vote on your appointment at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And then moving right along to select board comments. Do we have any select board comments tonight? Oh, Josh.
I guess we got to figure out what goes into kudos and plaudits and what goes in here. But last week I attended a event at the library, legislators breakfast, which was a really well done and very well attended. I was very surprised. I guess I should be surprised by anything the library puts on, but the amount of people that were there from different organizations from all over the state, and our legislator contingent from Western Mass. And the point of the event was to encourage the state to up their funding, or at least keep it even for libraries, and which is an easy thing for the state if things get tough to maybe try to put the squeeze on, but they're very important to the towns. We know how important Storrs Library is to our town. I spoke briefly and mentioned that, but there was many people who spoke very well about the importance of libraries, and like our building needs some physical love, but there are lots of programs that can use the funding. So it was a great event, and it was something that I think I was very proud that we had.
Great. Thank you. Anything else from the board? Okay, great. Now we will move into the applications portion of the agenda, and we will begin with Poor Things Coffee and their town property permit request, or actually for the mobile food vendor on town property permit request. Mike, is there some, is anything we need to kind of highlight or summarize about this? I know that this request is in alignment with our new policy that we just passed, and I'm asking for some of the tables and like the small bistro table, and permission to sell merchandise. But anything else to kind of highlight?
No, I mean, in lieu of having, thank you to Poor Things. I believe we have someone online. I'll move them in just in case there's any questions. But yeah, they saw the policy right away. They were able to ask questions just to clarify some of the policy's content, and everything that's in their request falls in line with the new policy. So I would recommend approval with the contingencies as they noted in their request. The bistro table, the sign on days that they have their operations running, as well as the non-food novelty items.
And I think Pete is online in case we have any questions for him. Any questions for Pete or any comments from the select board?
They did make a point to talk about the sign too, unless you already said that.
Yep, the
Okay.
sign request is in there, which is addressed in the policy.
Yeah.
As long as that's part of the request, and it's taken down after the event, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
like Mike said, thank you to Poor Things for being on top of it.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
Oh, no, sorry.
I was gonna say, Poor Things from day one, they've been, on top of everything with submitting the requests, and I think they've been a great asset to the community, so, I mean, I personally have no problem with this. I think it's great that they're, just going about things the right way.
I'll entertain a motion to for a permit request.
I'm trying to see where. I'll make a motion to accept the Poor Things coffee request for the mobile food vendor on town property.
Second?
And should we just amend that to include some of the contingencies that they've asked for?
I would just say pursuant to the request letter.
Okay,
Pursuant to the request letter.
Second?
all right. Any further discussion? All right, then, since we've got Josh online, we'll do roll call vote.
Mr. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Zwerko?
Yes.
Mr. Hamabathy?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
And then we've got a one-day liquor license application from St. Mary's.
Oh, you're looking for us.
Oh, sorry, yeah, we
No,
can
no,
speak
no,
to
no,
it.
no, just like, no, just any motions or anything on this one? Hopefully folks have had a
I'll
chance to
move
read
we
already.
approve a one-day liquor license for St. Mary's
Second.
on
Oh, sorry.
January 24th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, Mike?
Mr. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Zwerko?
Yes.
Mr. Hamabathy?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then next, we've got a request from Fletcher's to expand the time on New Year's Day for liquor sales. This is something that they asked for last year, and we approved last year. Didn't have any problems with it, and they're coming back and asking for it again this year. It's just to provide a New Year's Day brunch and to just begin the starting time earlier in the day at 9 a.m. I think usually it's 11?
Usually around 11 or 12 for
Okay.
some businesses.
Okay, so just to begin it a few hours early. I think I see Bill online if folks have any questions or anything. But any comments, questions from the board? This is kind of now, second year thing we've done this.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the request for a temporary extension of hours to serve alcohol on for the New Year's Day brunch at Fletcher's Barbecue and Steakhouse at 408 Long Meadow Street on January 1st, on Thursday, January 1st, starting at 9 a.m.
Second. Any further discussion? All right, Mike?
Mr. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Zwerko?
Yes.
Mr. Hamabathy?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
All right. Next is a junk and secondhand article dealer's license. Do we have someone here to speak to that?
They were invited. I do not see them on the agenda. So this came forward as correspondence at the last meeting, something we were going back and forth with the applicant on for a couple months now. Town council confirmed, based on the request for their DBA application, that this falls into this bylaw category. It's actually the first one in our time that we've ever received. And as far back as I could research, haven't found anything actually. So in pursuant to this bylaw, if you're collecting materials and you're reselling them on Facebook Marketplace or at other flea markets and things like that, you will need to have a permit from the select board. That's about all that we have in official procedures. There's no application, there's no fee, it's just on record as their DBA application. They need to have this filed permit with the board. It's unclear to me right now if it needs to come back on an annual basis, but the bylaw is pretty specific to what it's looking for, and what they sent us is exactly all the information they really need to provide at this time. The DBA application has been processed. They've just been waiting to kick off until they got the official license approval by the select board. My understanding is that they're not making any sales out of their property, out of their house, storing materials and reselling them either online or at flea markets, with an emphasis on selling them at flea markets. Their DBA is Light and Legacy, and I also Josh asked me to ask town council if this is something we can delegate to an internal department, and it would need a charter change in order to bylaw change in order to facilitate that. So, based on the nature of us not receiving these requests too often, I'm not sure it's worth doing that, but I guess we can have that discussion at a later time.
Great, yeah, thank you, Mike. And yeah, I think the important thing to highlight here is that this is not a storefront. These are folks that are just basically collecting items from flea markets, antique stores, and then selling them online. And I know that in the bylaws really have a lot of different language and focus on the sellers needing some sort of sign or emblem or something like that to show that they are licensed by the town. Of course, this is a little bit different because they're not a storefront, but I do wonder if there is something that, we can issue to them just,
I would recommend that when you make the motion, I'm assuming you're gonna make a motion to approve it, that you make it contingent on no storefront type sales, and that you set a time limit, not a time limit, I'm sorry, a expiration date on it, because generally licenses and permits are not good forever. So, whether it's an annual basis or buy-in, or every 3 years or something like that, that's what I would recommend. But then we would then issue a license with those contingencies on there.
okay, yeah, that sounds perfect. Yeah, I think probably it makes sense at this point to maybe just do a year-long license until maybe we've had some more time to dig into this and see what the regular practice is, but maybe to have it expire at the end of 2026 might make sense.
Yeah. This is actually something that the applicant also drew to our attention. So they came in to fill out their DBA application. It got flagged by the building inspector as well as the town clerk. She said that in her research, she found this bylaw and wondered if it applied. I checked with town council and said in this specific case it would apply. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's great. Okay, anything else from the select board? Any comments, questions, motions? Well, I'll entertain a motion to approve the DBA application submitted by Light and Legacy pursuant, contingent on the applicant not opening up a storefront and having the license expire on December 31st, 2026.
Second.
Could you just amend that
So
motion
moved.
to say junk and secondhand article dealer's license rather than DBA? They already have their DBA.
Okay, so amended.
Yep.
Second. So moved.
Okay, perfect. And any further discussion? Mike?
Mr. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Zwerko?
Yes.
Mr. Hamabathy?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So we've concluded the applications portion of the agenda, and now we're moving into presentations, guest speakers, and we do have one presentation tonight, and that is our FY 2025 audit presentation. So if we can get our audit folks up to some microphones. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. If we could just start with some introductions and then kind of just hand it over to you all to make the presentation.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Schoen. I'm the current chair of the audit committee.
I'm Tanya Campbell. I'm partner at CBiz in charge of the town's audit.
Hi, Ian Coddington, finance director for the town.
Needs no introduction. Thank you all so much for joining us. So yeah, I'll kick it over to you to make the presentation.
Sure. As you mentioned, I'm here tonight to discuss the results of the town's fiscal year 2025 audit. And I'm pleased to note that we are back on track in terms of timing this year. It feels like we met just yesterday, but earlier this spring we presented the results of the 2024 audit. which unfortunately was delayed due to kind of circumstances out of the town's control, waiting on the Hampden County Retirement System audit. But everything's good now. We're back on track. Should have the ACFR filed by the deadline of December 31st, so, which is great. Last week, I met with the audit committee as well as the finance director and discussed the results of the fiscal year 2025 audit, as well as the annual comprehensive financial report. We also discussed during the meeting the roles and responsibilities of the different parties during the audit process, which is what I'm going to touch on briefly to start things off. As your independent auditors, we are ultimately responsible for expressing an opinion on the town's financial statements. In fiscal year 2025, we issued an unqualified opinion on the financial statements, meaning that based on the results of our testing, we found that the town was in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. We're also responsible for planning and performing our audit to provide reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance, that the financial statements are free of material misstatement. Just like to remind you that an audit is not designed to look at every single transaction, every single balance. We don't test every number. That's not what an audit is designed to do. We would never leave town hall if that was the case. In terms of your responsibility in the audit process, you're responsible for oversight over the entire process itself, which is why we have this meeting every year to discuss the results. You have the chance to ask questions. We do have some communications kind of at the beginning of the audit as well as during the audit with the board. And I just want to make you aware that if we did find a material issue or something that was concerning to us during the audit, we would not kind of wait till this point to spring it on you. So it would be brought to your attention prior to this meeting. So rest assured, there's nothing concerning or any issues that came up in our audit testing that you need to be made aware of. Does anyone have any questions? All right. So I wasn't going to flip through the 140-page document itself, but just kind of touch on some of the key numbers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, I get all the time in the world. Just such.
That's a word for it.
Yeah, I know, right? So in terms of some of the highlights, at the end of fiscal year 2025, the town had about $8.3 million in your general stabilization fund. That balance decreased slightly from the prior year because the town did use some money in fiscal year 2025, but overall the balance represents about 10% of the town's annual operating budget, which is a very healthy balance. And I know the town has made concerted efforts over the years to put money into that stabilization fund and build those reserves up over time. So that is something that is good. That is a good thing. In fiscal year 2025, the town had certified free cash of about $3.8 million. That represents about 4.6% of your annual operating budget. And the Mass Department of Revenue recommends anywhere between kind of the 3 and 5% range. So that number also is a very healthy number. I know the town does use, free cash on an annual basis for non-recurring items, which is, the kind of things that free cash should be used for. So the fact that that number remains constant or consistent year over year and actually did increase over the prior year means that the town's doing a good job in terms of budgeting revenues and expenditures conservatively and turning back money into the free cash balance every year, which is important as well. So
Frame that. Should frame that statement.
Oh, yeah. If you look at the beginning of the annual comprehensive financial report, there is a history of that in there, and you can kind of see what the balance has been over the years, and it has increased over the years as well, which is good. In terms of some of the key liabilities that we like to touch on a little bit every year, the town has reported a net pension liability which is the town's share of the Hampden County Retirement System's unfunded liability. At the end of fiscal year '25, that liability was about $47 million. It did decrease, actually 2 years in a row it has decreased, which is good news. I'm not gonna predict future years, but it decreased about $1.8 million from the prior year. And the main reason for that decrease is the retirement system itself had positive market value results in their calendar year 2024, which is what is reported in the town's fiscal year 2025 audit. So for the past 2 years, the market has gone up, and as a result, your overall portion of the liability has gone down because the overall liability went down, which is good news. At the end of 2025, the system itself was about 58% funded. So it's up a little bit from the prior year. Last year it was 55%. So it is trending up, which is good. The other big liability on the financial statements is your net OPEB liability, or your other post-employment benefits. So your town retiree health insurance costs. That liability at the end of the year was about $20 million. And it didn't really change much during the year, which is okay. You know, there was, unlike the retirement system, which you are required to fund on an annual basis, you're not required to fund the OPEB liability. But the town has established an OPEB trust fund and continues to put money into that fund every year. In fiscal year 2025, the town contributed about $300,000 to the trust fund, but the trust also, because the balance has been growing year over year and the market has done well, saw about $800,000 increase in investment returns. So overall, that trust fund balance is continuing to grow and exponentially year over year as the town continues to put money into that, which is great. At the end of 2025, the OPEB liability was about 31% funded, so up from 28% in the prior year, which is great. So and higher than what we've seen kind of across the board in terms of other towns that we've audited. So that is good. That's all I really had for numbers. I don't know if anyone has any specific questions when they look through the report. As I mentioned, there was no findings or internal control issues. We typically also talk about the single audits or your federal grant audits at this time, but because there was a delay in the release of the compliance supplement from the federal government, we haven't completed them at this time, but we will be auditing school lunch and special education. So we will forward those along when those get completed, but that'll be a later date. Those are due by March 31st, so we'll have them done in plenty of time. So.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any questions from the board? If not, anything for Ian or Matt to add?
Yeah, I'll just discuss briefly what the audit committee did for this fiscal year audit and give you an understanding of our role in the process as well. So we meet throughout the audit process to oversee and ensure that the communication and financial statements that are coming from the town and the town's employees are getting to the auditor in a timely fashion, and then any problems that are identified get to the select board if necessary. Obviously, we haven't spoken to you because we didn't have any serious problems, but ultimately that is what we all want, so that's a good result. We met halfway through the implementation of the audit to verify that it was progressing on pace, and it was. And then, of course, at the end of the audit process, we have a meeting, as we did last week, to review this document in depth that you've been presented here today and ensure that it covers all the bases and provides the understanding of why we have the unqualified opinion that we do. And, of course, that unqualified opinion is the desired result. There are no major concerns that have been identified which cross the material threshold that would be flagged by the auditor, and the quick and dirty version of that means, as far as we can tell, based on the basis of how that audit is conducted, is that the books have been kept in an honest fashion. And that is, of course, the goal of the audit, to ensure that that's what we found, that our statements are accurate to the extent we can tell on the limited basis of what you can accomplish within an audit. So, but that's a good result. As we do every year, we make an effort to take an opportunity where we invite the town staff who have been helpful and present throughout that audit process to still take a leave of absence, so that we have a chance to speak with the auditor directly, just the members of the committee and the members of the auditor staff, to have a conversation without town staff present, to give the best opportunity for a moment of candor, just in case there was any issue getting stuff out of staff, in terms of getting the financial data necessary, or statements or information, and the depth of information required. And unsurprisingly, this year, there were no concerns were identified, but we do make that effort because we want to ensure that every chance there has been to identify a problem is given. And so we did that this year, and unsurprisingly found no problems, but nevertheless, we did take that step, and thankfully they identified no concerns. And the net result of all of that is, at our meeting last week on the 10th, we reviewed the ACFR and then had a motion to unanimously recommend the ACFR as presented to the Select Board for adoption. So this is why we're here, and that's the report I have to give. The only other things I would do in terms of identifying concerns for the future and what we're looking forward to ahead of time is, when you have good results with the market and they improve the things like the retirement fund, that's great. And it's important that we fund the liabilities that we have outgoing, but in terms of long-term trends, there's good reason to believe that health insurance costs will get worse. I know you've had recent briefings from me about that and other select board meetings, and frankly, that's something we're paying attention to as well. So to the extent the town can advance in funding unfunded liabilities like OPEB into the future, it's good to maintain that process, and we would recommend that the town continues to pursue that as a policy. The only other thing I would say is we've had a good run, and we've had some helpful recommendations in terms of adding staff to the audit committee, which makes it much easier for us to operate. So thank you for any recommendations you have. If you know anyone else with an accounting background, I'm always recruiting. So please invite anyone who might have an interest. It isn't perhaps the most exciting of committees, but it is an important committee. And we would add everyone to come on board. I can't have you guys. You have other issues already. You're doing other jobs.
I'm just saying, it's exciting to be part of the
I
audit.
know. I have a
Just
cousin
trying
in
to-
account. She loves it. Anyway, my point being, if you know anyone, please encourage them to apply. But that's everything I have from the audit committee. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Anything from the select board?
No, I just want to say, Matt, you've done a great job. Ever since I've been on the board, every time you show up and you do an extensive report and you do a great job. And I am happy to say I think there have been some more people that have applied recently.
Great.
For your committee. So
Excellent.
I appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
Send them. Thank you very much.
Great, all right. Thank you all so much for your presentation. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, moving into correspondence. Any comments from anything that we have in correspondence?
I wanted to point out one piece, if I could. There is a letter that you'll see in there from Springfield Water and Sewer Commission. The letter, unfortunately, was on my desk, so it did get to you late. It's not actually asking, there's no timeline on a due date for anything. I just, when you notice it, you'll see that it's been, I think, since November. So that's my apologies there for it getting buried on my desk.
Great, thanks, Lynn. Josh, you have something?
Yeah, just note the bottle shop license letter that we will be getting to later, but I don't think this letter is included down there, so just wanted to make sure it was on to our attention.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, if there's nothing else from correspondence, we'll move into the town manager's report.
Thank you. So I have a brief one for you tonight, just an update on our WOW committee, which is the Wellness of Workers Committee. This is the internal employee committee for training and team building. They've launched a winter decorating contest for town offices. So I would encourage people to stop by our municipal offices here, both at Greenwood Center and I know DPW is also participating, to just see the creative and fun ways the departments have decorated their front door and lobby space for the winter season. The planning board has issued a decision on the Colvest site and design application. This was on December 3rd, and they have approved it with some contingencies. The planning board has 90 days to file that decision with the town clerk's office. Once the decision is available, it can be picked up by the developer after the 20-day appeal period has been exhausted. And then on December 20th, we held a staff training. Several offices took part, and this was for customer service. The title was Exceptional Service, Strategies for Maintaining Composure and Delivering Exceptional Customer Service. It was an interactive training that provided takeaways on strategies for effective communication for staff to put into practice as soon as they went back into their office. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Great. Anything from the select board for Lynn?
Oh, and I'm sorry, I did want to add, I took a phone call after our last meeting from a resident who was calling regarding the assessor's office holding the public information session on the personnel exemptions. And unfortunately, I did not get that person's name or phone number, but they did tell me that they watch all of our meetings and was asking me some questions related to whether that presentation would be televised. And I did learn that it will not be televised, but for those people that cannot make it, to please contact the assessor directly, and she's happy to set up phone calls or one-on-one meetings with people to explain those personal property exemptions.
Great, thank you. Anything from the select board? Okay, great, thank you, Lynn. And then moving into old business, we've got December 1st, 2025 meeting minutes. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the December 1st, 2025 select board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, Mike?
Mr. Levine?
Yes.
Mr.
Sorry.
Zerko?
Yes. It looked like Josh was gonna sneeze or cough, I don't know.
Mr. Zerko?
Yes.
Mr. Hemaphathy?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
All right, great. Okay, and then next we've got the bottle shop liquor license. So Jim, I think I see you here. If you could move up to a microphone. And do we, like either Lynn, Mike, Josh, do one of y'all want to kind of,
Lead you in?
yeah.
Sure.
Yep, I can, Josh, unless you want it.
No, go ahead, Mike.
Okay. So there's a draft memo on the agenda today, proposed as a letter to send off to Mr. Thomas after the meeting if the board chooses to do so. In accordance with MGL 138-16A, renewal applications for annual licenses must be signed and submitted to the local licensing authority in the month of November. The LLA, which is the select board in this case, did not receive a 2026 renewal application during the month of November. Since the renewal application doesn't meet conditions stated in the statute, it should be treated as a new application pursuant to MGL. If that's the case and the board chooses to do so, then obviously a new application process would open up in the future. We've been made aware that Mr. Thomas has been working on potentially having either a lease or a purchase and sale agreement with, or a transfer application through the APCC. And Josh, do you have anything you want to add to that to open it up?
No, I think that really sums it up. And just to clarify, Mike, we have not seen anything in the office, correct?
In terms of a
Application, lease, anything?
No, correct.
Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Thomas, you're here. I know that there was a letter that was attached to our correspondence that you had sent via email, and yeah, and I'm not sure if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Zuckerman, I'm the bottle shop's attorney that's been dealing with the litigation related to the lease.
Okay. Great, thank you. And thank you for joining us. So Mr. Thomas, I'll kind of turn it over to you to kind of speak to what's going on, what's, kind of what happened with missing the renewal application in November.
As I stated in my letter, I screwed up, and I'll admit it all day long. I was, by default, I didn't think that my license, because I don't really have a license. So I didn't think I needed to fill out the application. It was a pocket license. And I saw Mike's emails, and I assumed they were just generic emails to all licenses in town. And I assumed it wasn't for me. And that's why I didn't fill it out. As for the status of the lease, it is signed. I don't have a copy of it, but I wouldn't have a copy of it. It's between the buyer and the landlord. And he is in the process of the application. I think I said in the letter that he was hoping to have it in by the 11th. There's some questions that he has that he needs from my old license number, and there's a couple other things that are on the license that I as they, you know, that were lost in the fire. And I haven't seen a license in 5 years, so I can't answer those questions. But he is ready to go. He is signed up and ready to go. As I said, the lease is ready to be signed. I believe if it's not signed, I don't know the details on that lease. I know they were hashing it out for a considerable period of time at no easy task with the puns.
Okay, thank you. And so in this memo that that's attached to our agenda, it cites the statute saying that this renewal must take place in the month of November. Do we have any latitude here as the licensing authority here to say, even though an application wasn't submitted in November, that we can make an exception, or is that kind of hard and fast rule?
It's never happened before, so it's a unique predicament to be in, because in the past, if somebody has intended not to renew, they just haven't renewed because either their business is closing or they're moving on to a different venture. So we haven't ever been in this predicament before, so I can't speak from like a historic point of view of what our local licensing authority has done in the past, but I just know what's stated in MGL, and that's what I have to go off of. That's what I'm trained to go off of. So, Josh, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but that's pretty much how I would summarize where I got to.
I think if we did have leeway, and per the statute, we don't. And, but if we did, what I would be worried about, and I am worried about, if we did, we've already really done an incredible amount of bending over backwards to help out the bottle shop. And at this point, it's now been referred to as a pocket license, which you cannot have in Massachusetts. You have to use your license. It can't just sit and be held. And this is what we've been talking about for years. And I'm a little flabbergasted that it went this way, because we have really begged for communication and did not get it. And so back to the original point, if we had flexibility, I think it's passed. We have been flexible. At this point, if we did one more shot after having a meeting in December where we said we didn't get an application, and if we now said, all right, well, one more try, I think there will be an appeal to the ABCC by another interested party. And I don't see a way around that, because it's been very public. We haven't done anything under the table. Everyone has been able to see what we've been doing and has heard us say, you need to continue following the rules, and we'll give you one more chance. And the fact that Mr. Thomas got 3 communications on this and didn't do it is like I said, I'm flabbergasted. So I don't really see a way around this. And I think we have to just continue on.
So I guess one thing that I have a question about is at the last time we talked about this, we extended the bottle shop's liquor license to a date in December, right? So does that not mean that it's still active right now? Because the select board, we said
for this calendar year, but under MGL, not for the next calendar year.
Okay. And then how long did we say that this was extended to? Did we say until like December 31st, or?
I believe so. I can check.
I have it in my calendar as this meeting.
We either said to the end of the year or through tomorrow, because we knew we were going to have this meeting tonight.
Yeah.
Actually, wasn't at that meeting. Let me just check the minutes.
Okay.
The MGL does say, if the application does not meet the conditions hereunder, it shall be treated as an application for a new license, and all procedures set forth under section 15A shall be applicable thereto. So it does go on to say what happens if you don't renew in November.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, so I guess then it's immaterial whether his license is active right, like today, right? Because past that, we wouldn't even have the authority to extend it past that without him doing the renewal application in November, right?
Yeah, in my reading of MGL, yeah.
So why did we make the extension to December if we couldn't, do we just not know that?
No, that's a no. So the November
Totally separate.
renewal period of November 1st and November 30th is standard throughout Massachusetts. That's like a known month for renewing the license application. So you wouldn't have to ever put that in your motion to begin with. That's just something that it's standard in liquor license practice.
So no matter what, if we had wanted to agree today to issue the license, the renewal, we do not have the authority to do that.
Well, I think what Josh is saying is that if that were to be the case, it could be open to appeals.
In my I'm not an attorney, in my reading of the law, I don't see where it says, with the exception of the select board.
Right.
Okay.
That as well.
Don't see that. Yeah.
What's the?
We've seen other interested applicants come to these meetings and sit in the back. And I don't know, and this is not something that I've had to, I don't know if we have to defend a decision to the ABCC. That's not something I would want us to have to take on, because when I'm representing a client that's buying or selling a license, make sure to tell the seller, if it's towards the end of the year, you gotta renew your license, because they just go away. And the reason that happens, it goes through the end of the year, but in December, we already sent in all of our renewal packages, right, Mike?
They are due at the end of the month, but we have not sent them completely in yet, no.
Okay, so we send them, and the ABCC spends all of December reviewing them. So they're back, and then they're back in effect in January. And that's why the system's set up the way it is.
Yeah, that's helpful background, Josh. Thank you.
What about an appeals process? Like, what is that? What is that like? Is that Mr. Thomas or some other party that's interested would appeal that? I mean, what kind of shape does that put, or situation does that put the town in if we were to proceed? I mean, I'm on the side of leniency with the bottle shop, just to be completely transparent. So I'm just trying to understand if we went that route for the renewal, what does that put the town in from liability perspective, number one? So that's my question or concern.
Yeah, I wish we talked to Jay about this, Attorney Tellerman, and I wish I didn't ask that question exactly. But he did, if I recall correctly, he said, yes, an interested party could appeal if we were lenient. But I don't know what that entails for us. There is an appeals process on application denials to the ABCC in Boston. And I don't know if we have to be involved in that. And I wouldn't want us to be, obviously. But, I could say that maybe we would be either way. If we don't accept a renewal now, which we still haven't seen. So I don't even know if there's anything for us to accept, to be quite honest. So if we were not lenient, could that be appealed to ABCC? Yeah, probably. Would it go anywhere? That I don't know. Again, I haven't been in that position. And if we were lenient and said, okay, we'll give you one more shot, and I'm saying based on who I saw at a meeting, could the provisions folks go to the ABCC and say, Long Meadow didn't have jurisdiction to do this? Yeah, I think they could. And again, I don't know the answer to the next question, what happens then? And we've been put into a very difficult position after, like I said, being incredibly lenient and kind, I think, and understanding, because from the very beginning we said that this is not Mr. Thomas's fault. It's a terrible situation, but it's gotten worse because of a lack of participation and communication.
Can I ask you a quick question? Forgive my ignorance, just from my own understanding. Basically, what I'm hearing is that the law says we missed a deadline in November, so now the bottle shop would have to just apply for a new license. And the issue is that anyone, like Provisions or any other company, should be able to apply for a new license. And so the issue is going outside, like trying to circumnavigate this, puts the town at risk. And what is the problem with the bottle shop just trying to apply for a new license? Like, why wouldn't they just do that?
Well, they can't because they have to have
They can't.
a location.
I
They have
see.
a lease somewhere,
I see.
so they could not. So basically what is
So
happening
they
is
would-
Mr.
it'd
Thomas
be
would
gone.
lose the opportunity to sell
Thank you.
his liquor license
Gotcha.
to another party. And so he would be out that money, basically,
see.
that he could sell the license for.
But it is true that the deadline has passed, and so we're questioning whether it's even possible to go around it or circumnavigate or show leniency.
Yeah.
You know, when we don't have a renewable license, and this has been my frustration with this whole process. Mr. Thomas could have picked up the phone and called Mike and said, what do I do? And he didn't. Now we don't have the application. I don't even think there's anything to add done. We don't even have the lease in hand, and that's a transfer application, which we don't have. I want to, I've said, go back and watch all the tapes. I really have used my knowledge of this process to try to protect the town, but try to be very kind to Mr. Thomas. And I don't know what we can really do now, because there's nothing in front of us. We have a letter, that's it.
Yeah, is there an application? Have you filled out an application, Mr. Thomas?
A new application?
I think you're referring to a renewal form,
renewal.
correct?
Renewal.
So to Mr. Thomas's point from before, he did come into the office, I think, December either 7th or 8th or 9th or
The
10th.
Monday.
Yeah, the Monday after. And he was inquiring over the renewal form. And at that point, I advised him not to fill it out at that time because it was past the deadline and we needed to meet before going forward. So that's kind of where we were at. So I think it was December 8th or December 9th. He did come into the office seeking to fill out the renewal application, but at that point, the deadline already passed, so I was left in a predicament where I really didn't know what to do because I've never been in that situation.
Okay.
Where's the lease supposedly for?
I'm sorry, Josh, where's the lease for? The plaza, I'm not sure which number. I'm not sure which unit number. The actual address.
I think there's only one left.
No, I don't know. I believe there's 3 spaces. I don't know if they're all leased or not.
It may be helpful to know for context that Mr. Thomas was working on this lease since at least, would you say March, April?
Yeah.
And there was a period of time where the landlords were out of the country and not available, and I was being told they could not be contacted by phone or email. So that slowed the process of negotiating the lease significantly.
And I know my buyer has pulled his hair out.
Yeah.
He'll submit, and it'll be 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
It's taken the better part of this year to
Yeah,
get that negotiated.
to get that negotiation.
Is the buyer the Four Seasons gentleman?
It is his family, I believe.
Well, I mean, I don't know what options are available to us right now. And I know, Josh, I think you talked to town council and everything, and, you know, I'm not sure what we can do here besides, you know, what's been on the agenda, what we've just discussed right now.
The town council told me that there can be flexibility, and I've seen, you know, other towns will be flexible, but that's if, I forgot, there's nobody else circling around. I think we're in a bad position because there are other people circling around that want this. And it's, we've really, we've done so much, and we're now put in this position, and I think that that's really, really unfortunate.
I would just say that this is not a, and Josh probably said this in 10 other times, but this is not a normal situation. I mean, if someone were to look at this, and if Josh, you had said, council said we had flexibility, I mean, we had a building burned down, you know, and I know that was probably a bad scenario in terms of forgetting the renewal, but I do feel like we're at the finish line. We have some flexibility. There's a building in town that burnt down, and it was someone's business. I'm just more on the side with and Mr. Thomas has been in business for years in Long Meadow and a good business partner to the community. I just think that personally, I want to show some more flexibility as we kind of round things out here. And even though I do think there could have been better communication and some other aspects to this whole process that could have maybe gone a little bit better, but I also understand the situation in terms of who you've been working with, and maybe it's been difficult, and you've expressed that, and I just want to show more flexibility at the 11th hour if we can do so. So that's my opinion.
And I agree with Dan. I mean, I think not only the fire in the building, but then also the unique circumstances I think that exist in our town where there's really only one location to open up a liquor store. And so then we had, I think, a landlord that was really kind of exerting more power or influence in the situation than is typical, and that made this much more difficult for all parties involved. I guess if we do show more flexibility, I guess my question is, what would that look like, or what would we require in that circumstance if we went that route?
We have to have a special meeting to accept a renewal.
I think that it's important to make the distinction between the renewal process and an application to transfer. The renewal process has been the way it's been for decades. They are due in November. The business has renewed every single November except for this one. So if the renewal had come in when it was supposed to, this wouldn't even be at your desk right now. So I'm cautious about what the MGL says, knowing, as Josh has pointed out as well, I don't know where we go if you guys decide that you will entertain a renewal outside of November.
So it is possible that another party will take offense at that, and would they file some appeal or sue us, and essentially that will lead to legal fees where we're defending our decisions?
Yes, it could, and then it also undermines future renewals if licensees miss deadlines in the
Right.
future.
Then there's precedent for
That
us
November
making
date
exceptions.
has been held as set in stone by every single local license authority across the Commonwealth, because otherwise you have a incredibly unwieldy process. So I'm very cautious about that. I just wanted you to.
So if we make an exception, it could be basically brought up again by somebody else in the future if the town did this, is what the concern is.
I'm less worried about that and that is a possibility, but I don't think we'd be setting a precedent by being flexible. I'm worried about the ramifications to the town. We don't have a lot of money to throw around at things that we did not cause. But I understand the desire to be flexible, but this has been, there was renewals every year, and if the first thing that comes to our desk is a 15A application, I don't think it's fair. I'm sorry, that's a new application for a new license. I don't think it's fair to just take it as is and not open up the process. Like Agawam redid their numbers recently and realized they had 4 unused beer and wine licenses, so they just they set a 30-week window. Interested folks could apply. I think if we, and that's why I said in the letter, we'll announce at a future date the time period. I think that would be the fair way to do it. So we just have to be careful. If this is, however, what the consensus of the board is, we have to be careful about what we're saying we're doing here. Because like I said, there is no renewal in front of us. And I don't know what to do about that. It's unfortunate that Mike, there was some confusion a week ago about whether it could still come in, but it was already late by then. And it should have already been in. And Mike had sent 3 letters saying, get your application in.
I appreciate everything that everyone said. For myself, I just wouldn't want to do anything that would encumber the town with some sort of liability in the future when it's, I mean, it sounds like tonight there's no action to take, but I think that as accommodating as we want to try to be, I would not be in favor of something that could put us into a situation with future liability that we're not sure of. That's just my opinion.
If we want to wait, I know the years, we're running out of days in the year, but we could set a brief meeting after talking more to town council, because to me it sounds like at best right now we have a split board, and so it might be worth waiting a little bit and trying to gather some.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, I don't really feel like I am in a position to take a vote one way or the other on anything. Like I said, like I empathize with Mr. Thomas on this situation, but based on what everyone's saying about what the MGL says, I don't know what kind of I don't know what that flexibility looks like. I don't know what we would even have the authority to do.
Why would we not just consider it, let's say we talk to town council, try to find other ways to get around things. Why wouldn't we just do it in the first meeting in January? Like, why would we have to have a special meeting? It's past November, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't. I'm checking now. It's sometime at the end of
It
January.
expires, this license expires December 31st, either by hook or by crook, by statute or by.
So just because it expired,
expired,
it can no longer be a renewal, because the date has passed.
Correct.
Okay, so-
That would be my interpretation. So if you want to, I don't think we could do anything tonight except say, that's it. If the board wants more time to consider and to talk to town council, find out what could happen, I think we need to have another meeting and need a renewal in front of us. There's literally nothing to vote on right now because there's no application into the town.
Yeah.
And so it's possible town council could advise us, oh, you can totally do this, no big deal, there's no risk. Or it could say, your fears of risk are totally valid and I wouldn't do this. So that would be helpful valid.
I know what town council is going to say.
What?
Town council is going to say there is flexibility, but, and the question is, what's the but? Are we going to get sued, or does it go to ABCC and ABCC makes a decision which won't cost us a bunch of money? I don't know the answer to that, and I think that's what we need to know.
Yeah, and I think I'd also want to know what that flexibility looks like. Like, what does that, exactly mean? Does that mean we, as the licensing authority, can extend the time for renewal, or, I don't know what that would mean. So I think when I guess when they're saying flexibility, I don't really understand what we have flexibility with.
I think the flexibility is November, you make it November-ish, or you give it a little bit extra time in December. And that's what we'd be doing. But I don't think it extends beyond that. And the permit, the license, we cannot unilaterally extend the license. I think, Mike, if you could remind me, in 2024, during the renewal period, we didn't renew the license for the full year. We renewed it for 3 or 6 months or something.
Yeah, it was April, June, September, and then September through the end of the year. So there's
So
been
that-
4 renewals this year.
So those we could do. But now, it's not just us doing a renewal, it has to go to ABCC.
I also, I'm sorry to interject. I think it is possible, just from my memory, that we renewed it to the tomorrow, not till December 31st. So if it expires, if that's correct, then you'd have to act by tomorrow, which, because
Well,
then
we have to
it'll
have a meeting,
be,
but we can extend it to the end of the year.
I see.
Right now.
The minutes do say December 31st. I'm
Okay.
not,
okay,
that's the only record I'm going off
Okay,
of right
then
now,
that's good.
so.
All right, so I think, I don't know if there's anything we can do tonight, so I think, Josh, what you propose probably sounds the best. If we can talk to town council, maybe get a better idea here, and then if we need to, we can have a special meeting, or if it's possible for us to talk about this at our January meeting, we can do that then.
For clarity, Mr. Thomas will, in the meantime, submit the renewal application. Is that agreeable?
So I guess my hesitation with that is what date is it being submitted for? So I think we maybe should talk to town council first and find out if it should be dated November 30th or if it should be dated December 16th. But you guys, you know,
Okay.
this is
Lynn, I
all
would also-
uncharted
I would just
territory.
interject, and I think that you should have the latitude to, if town council tells you something that makes it very unwise for the town to act, I think you should tell us, or tell them basically not to, you know, pursue it. If it makes sense, fine, but if we find out that this is unwise, then I don't think we should pursue it. From the town's perspective.
And then it'll be up to Josh if he wants to call a special meeting as the chair. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, so in terms of submitting a new renewal application, I guess just wait to hear from us after we've talked to town council, and we'll let you know after we learn more, okay?
Would you like to see my buyer's application and lease?
So I'm gonna, if you don't mind, the processes are entirely separate.
Okay.
So
I just wasn't sure if
the
that
other
would-
thing that is at least somewhat concerning is that the new applicant has made no contact with the office. And generally, it's very odd for a seller to be the one doing all of the conversation with the town. It's usually the buyer that comes forward and kind of starts that process, so I don't believe, last week, I think.
Today was the first day that someone came in because the person came in to pay their application fee because I guess it's somebody whose family is looking to purchase this license. So today was the first contact I made about 3 o'clock today that I had any inclination of who it was. Yeah.
Okay.
So, just for the sake of not confusing this issue, I don't think we want to see anything yet, but I don't want to speak for you guys, you're the license authority. I think you would want to deal with whether or not you can renew this, and then deal with who it can transfer to.
You can't transfer an expired license, so yeah, I absolutely agree. We don't need, it doesn't, the transfer application does not matter right now.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you'll hear more from us.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next we have our follow-up on the Parks and Rec presentation regarding the aquatic program. Barry, are you here to talk about that? No?
Yep. Yep. So this was added as a follow-up from the overview that the Park and Rec Director gave a couple meetings ago. And this is specific to the questions that you all had related to pool operation. and capital costs. So on the agenda, you will see 4 documents. One was uploaded later today. One is related to actual calendar year operating costs that are part of a budget or the revolving fund. The other 2 are forward-looking capital, and the third one is past capital projects. And then the document that was uploaded today relates to the pool passes and the daily admission, just so you had all the stats.
Okay, great, thank you. After kind of having this, was there anything that you wanted to, you know, highlight or anything, or draw our attention to?
Well, we have 3 pools, and 2 of them run almost identical. The third pool, the high school, you'll see there's very little data for, other than some capital costs, because that doesn't really run the same as our outdoor aquatic pool, program. And so it was hard to really throw the stats in there for that. Plus, most of that comes out of the school department operating budget. And so that's why you see so many blanks there. But for Greenwood and Reynolds Pool, they're very, very similar. And then the document that I uploaded late this afternoon, the only thing I would call out in that one is the numbers are somewhat skewed on it, because you all know we've been doing so much capital work at Reynolds Pool that when we're comparing the stats for the number of days open, it reflects that it's been closed a lot because of those capital improvements. So it's hard to, break it down or provide a cost per user. The number is artificially high because it's been closed more than it's been open.
Great, thank you. Anything from the select board on this?
I thought, to be honest, I really appreciated these numbers. When we started getting interested in this, Dan and I and Lynn went to the pool, and we thought it was like not very well attended, and I talked to a lifeguard who freely admitted that at Reynolds, most of the time, a lot of times there were no swimmers, or even possibly the entire day would go with no swimmers, and most of the time there were more lifeguards than swimmers. There are, I think, 7 lifeguards at all times. And so these numbers, Barry had shared with me this average of only 12 swimmers a day at Reynolds. And, it's open 9 hours a day, a lot of days, so it's literally like 1.3 swimmers per hour and only 6 swimmers per hour at Greenwood. And then I was a little surprised and was wondering if you guys could comment on why Greenwood for the past 4 years also had a very low census of swimmers. It's 55 this year, which is well below like the maximum capacity, I'm sure. But why do you think there were only 16, 12 per day at Greenwood when it was the only pool open in the past? Was there something going on those years that changed this last year?
And I'll say we excluded camp and swim lessons from these statistics, so including them would be well over 100 a day. But I think it's a combination of a lot of things, probably pricing, the increase in backyard pool applications.
More building of pools in town.
We've seen that. We started inquiring and tracking that probably right around COVID, and it went up incrementally.
So the numbers this year are 55 and 12 at Greenwood and Reynolds per day swimmers. That doesn't include camps.
Correct, or swim lesson people.
And then camps, are they using each pool? Like, can you tell us a little bit about the camps? Like, are they primarily at which location?
They're primarily at Greenwood. They're for day camps. So there's about 120 campers per day. They each have 1 swim lesson and 2 free swims a day. So that's usually 9 a.m. through noon. And then 12 to 1 p.m. is in service and senior swim. And then the public, Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock to 8, and then on the weekends, 11 to 7.
So there's no camp at Bliss Park.
Correct.
Where they just go to Reynolds Pool.
Correct.
I mean, I think we should all spend some time reviewing this, and I'm sure we can make I mean, I think another reason to really think about this is this budget we're facing this year is pretty difficult, right? We're looking for $1 million to balance the budget, and I think, you know, when you look at just the principle of marginalism, you know, what are the marginal costs versus the marginal benefits? The marginal cost of operating 2 pools in the summer, we know what that is. It's $148,000 a year. We're talking about adding another $700,000 over the next few years. And the marginal benefit is low because we already have an excellent pool, Greenwood, that's can accommodate much more capacity than it's currently got at 55 a day. It's only 6 an hour. So I think I'm really glad we're looking at this. I mean, I think if we're looking for kind of the low-hanging fruit that gains us the most amount of savings and impacts the fewest residents, basically, it really makes you wonder why we're running 2 pools for so few swimmers. And I do think, I do understand that there's kind of like a lot of people, I think, who recall from when they were young that the pools were much more utilized. But I think the data that you've shown us, like I didn't see these past years and the numbers that were so low before. I just worry, I just don't want the nostalgia for the past to kind of dictate our decision making in the present when the data shows a decline in the number of actual pool users. So. But thank you for bringing all this data to us.
Dan?
Yeah, I think to me it's a quality of life issue in our town. And Andrew, I've heard you talk about the playgrounds in the past, and you know, maybe we should close this playground down and shift other kids to come to play at this playground. And it sounds like that's the same thing you want to do about the pools. And who's marginalized are the kids that can't go to a country club, that don't have a pool in their backyard. Those are when I look at who's marginalized, those are the families that are having trouble being able to afford things. And this is a great way for families and kids to grow up in a community and use public access pools that we put tax dollars towards.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So that's, well,
I appreciate that.
I'm also not finished yet.
Oh.
So to me, this is a quality of life issue. This isn't about what might cost a little bit more to run things. We know things cost money. And I think we had a presentation recently on this several times. And one of the things we talked about is the investments that we're going to make into these pools to make them more attractive. So I think it's very short-sighted for us to just look at immediate ways and just potentially close one pool down. Maybe we'll close another pool down, because guess what? Once we do that, it's never coming back. So I'm going to be on the side for the marginalized kids and elderly residents that don't have access to be able to swim in a pool and go to camp and swim in a pool. Those are the people that I'm going to be advocating for, and figure out ways that we can work together as a board and work with the Parks and Rec to drive attendance. But to come out of the gate just suggesting that we're going to start closing pools or figuring out ways how to save money while not thinking about kids that don't have the ability to jump in a pool in their backyard or go to a friend's house who has a pool or join a country club like some other people in town. So that's what I'm concerned about.
I appreciate that. You know, I think that would be absolutely correct if this was the only pool that we had in town. You know, I think Greenwood at 55 swimmers a day is 6 swimmers an hour. We are offering a pool that anyone can go to that is underutilized. We're literally, if you look at the bottom, this is about, and I haven't, you know, I think that we should talk about it, and we're not voting on anything tonight, but I think that at the bottom of Lynn's last memo here, it's costing us $294 a swimmer at Reynolds. And the question is, you know, it's fine if we want to continue running these 2 pools, and most of the time one is totally empty and we're spending $148,000. I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with like what we're offering people. We have a pool. It might affect, true, someone who might want to like just walk to Reynolds when they can now, but should we really be, the question is, should we really be spending this much money on a pool that's so poorly utilized? And I think, you know, it's just like anything else. Of course, it's nice to have 2 pools if you can afford it, but we are literally in a situation where we need to cut $1 million from the budget. And if we spend it on this, we're talking about $148,000 a year for this pool, and that's 3 teachers, you know? So it's not, you know, it's not as if we're in a situation where we have scarce resources and we need to allocate them in the best possible way. I don't think it's about like excluding people from pools. We have a pool, and it's just the question is, you know, if we continue to operate both pools, I think that we should monitor it and say to ourselves as a town, how much are we willing to lose? Like, are we comfortable with it being $294 a swimmer at Reynolds? We should look at it. We shouldn't just blindly continue things when it's, to me, quite obvious that it's the very low-hanging fruit here. And obviously, and I don't think it's forever, you know? If Greenwood Pool becomes so overwhelmed and so popular that it's over capacity, we can absolutely go back to reopen and reinvest in Reynolds Pool. So that's just my opinion. I mean, I think that everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I understand, you know, it's just my opinion.
Yeah, and you had the same opinion for the playgrounds too, and now we're seeing how many, we've made improvements to our playgrounds, where previously we had kids with disabilities that weren't able to use our playgrounds. And now you go to our playgrounds and you see a ton of kids at our playgrounds, more than ever. And I'm happy. I know Vineeth, Josh, other people spoke in favor to make sure that we did push to fund our playgrounds. And that's just a primary example. If we leave our pools the way they are now, of course the numbers are going to be terrible. We're talking about ways to improve our pools. We've heard that at our meetings. We have CPC grant money that we're actively actually trying to seek to improve our pools. That's what we've done with our playgrounds, and we're seeing better results. And we were for that.
Barry, with Greenwood, with the camps, and you know, you said it was about 120. It gets up to about 120 swimmers. Is it at capacity at all, or does it get to be at capacity at any point during the day?
I cannot remember a time that it was ever at capacity. With the exception of perhaps when we reduced staff. Well, we reduced capacity because we had limited staff and maybe we were close, but not under normal circumstances, no.
Okay. Josh?
I thought this was a very helpful exercise. Thank you for putting it together. I guess I was kind of pleasantly surprised at how much it costs to run Reynolds for the summer. I know it's a lot of money, but it was not as much as I had feared, although in a tight budget, every dollar counts. What I guess the thoughts I had were more on the capital side. And a couple numbers stick out on that. One is about $1.2 million we spent on Reynolds very recently, and that's not something, and that was not done. That wasn't us. That wasn't the Parks Department. That was town meeting voted on that, and it was a lot of money. So I think we don't want to throw that money away, certainly. But my questions are more on the look ahead on the capital. When these projects that are coming up are done on the 3 pools, is that it, or do we have other big expenses coming up on those?
There are other fairly large price tags for Reynolds after this 1.1 million. There's 700,000 left off that 1.1. So after that, there is another round of work that's needed that I don't have an estimate on yet. And then there's also additional work needed at the high school pool that is around $400,000, at least right now. I don't have that in writing. That was just a verbal update. But
And this is not-
Greenwood's solid.
These are not, sorry, go ahead.
Greenwood's pretty solid for a while. We may need to address some decking at some point, but otherwise it's in pretty good shape. And we should probably start looking at the splash pad area.
So those numbers you just gave us, those are on top of what's on the 5-year capital look ahead for the pools?
Yeah, I don't have numbers for the next round of Reynolds. We're trying to get through this $700,000 project that's still needed for the finishing out the electrical and some drainage work there. But there is another round of work that DPW needs to begin designing and then getting quotes for, so that we know what we're dealing with in terms of a price tag. And then the high school pool is definitely more immediate, and you will see pieces of that on the FY27 capital plan.
Okay. So yeah, I'm looking at, we have the filter system replacement, which we know about from our last meeting, and pool refinishing in a few years at the high school. So between the 3 pools, we have another, probably by the time it's all done, $2 million.
Yep.
Which is a lot of money, but I think that given what has already been sunk into Reynolds and how passionate people were about it, I think that, and I'm speaking from my personal experience here, when we first moved to town, we had real little kids who couldn't go in the main pool at Reynolds, but even when they could, it wasn't really a great place to be because there was no chairs, no shade. And so I think that that first capital project we have on here is, hopefully will go a long way towards making Reynolds a more attractive place to be. And I would love to see our numbers come up there to really make it worth it. Because it's hard to stomach that price tag per pool user. But it was closed for a while, and I think that we can, working with Parks and Rec and DPW doing a great job getting it looking good, and making it a more attractive place to be. I hope we can get it better.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for preparing that. And we'll obviously keep looking at this and discussing it as we go along. Okay, moving into new business now. The 2026 fees discussion, Parks and Rec fees, and here we're taking a look at the Greenwood Day Camp fee structure.
Barry, you can sit either at
Yeah.
that one or that one. Put your name tag up.
And thank you for putting this together too. Do you want to walk us through this?
Sure, so
Okay, thank you.
I don't believe I've ever come before the select board for fee structure. Time to time, town manager, and time to time the Park and Rec Commission, but it's something that now you will see, eventually see all of our structured fees. Hopefully, we can compact it so it's just a few times a year, but because we want to begin to advertise these fees and set up the back end of our new registration system, I'm coming before you to, for consideration for approval for the proposed pricing structure just for the day camp. So next round will very likely be pool fees and then the rest of the summer camps. And then perhaps the end of the summer, I'll come before you for the fall and winter programs. So as you see, there's a couple of different pieces of this. One is the actual pricing structure with the difference, pretty incremental increase. And then also an overview, our reasoning why we wanted to change our fee structure. And then one is an overview, which you probably have already read through. The other is payment plans. So because many of our customers and our families register for the whole summer, it's advantageous for them to register but then pay as they go. So we'd like to offer that as well. And then as always, when we look at any of our pricing, we benchmark our competitors. So on the very last page of that, you will see who we deem our current competitors and what their current rates are. So I'm seeking approval to move forward with the incremental price increases from last summer, 2025.
Okay, great. And then so we're looking for approval for the daily fee structure for camp pricing and then also for the extended care pricing?
Yes, and just to break it down, we offer flexible pricing, so campers and families can choose 1 day a week, up to 5 days a week, and there's price incentives the more that they attend. And in the past, we've consolidated or we've offered a lump extended AM and PM together and no daily rate. But based on survey feedback from parents and looking at our benchmark competitors, it's reasonable to come up with daily rates. It's more appealing for families.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I found that very compelling. I think that makes sense. And thank you for laying everything out. It made sense to me. I didn't have any further questions on it, but anything else from the select board? Any questions, comments on this? Okay.
I would just say this is a great program. This is a program that I took advantage of as a kid in town, and I'm glad to see that we continue this. My only silly question is, do you still give out a T-shirt for the campers?
We do.
Okay. And then, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the daily fee structures for camp pricing and also for extended care pricing per the memo attached to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, Mike?
Mr. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Zwerko?
Yes.
Mr. Hamabathy?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then moving on to recycling center fees. Lynn, Mike, one of y'all want to talk about that?
Yeah, actually, Lisa is on the
great.
meeting, so I'm going to move her in as panelist. But yeah, there's a memo from Lisa, and I don't know, I think it was ran by the Recycling Commission as well, but basically they're looking to amend certain areas that are highlighted in this fees document here. This is an annual process that comes forward, usually at a meeting in December, and everything that is changing, I'll let Lisa speak to the changes specifically in the memo.
Hello, yes. So in front of you, we annually look at all the recycling rates for the passes as well as the bulk items. We review the income that came in for last year and compare it to our expenses. And this year, we sort of came out balanced. We did renegotiate our bulk disposal location, which actually saved us some money this year compared to last year. So that's why for the majority, we're not changing much. So prices for the stickers are staying the same this year as our recommendation. And then for the bulk items, it's only refrigerators, freezers, dehumidifiers, air conditioners that want to go up $5 because of fuel costs to deliver them to the recycle location. Other than that, we're keeping the cardboard free. Residents may have to show proof of residency to hopefully just we're dropping off cardboard. And yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think the other two things just kind of line up with what we've been talking about at select board meetings and with you all about the overflow cardboard and also, like you said, the commercial waste not being accepted. Any questions, comments from the select board on this? Josh?
Yeah, under regulations for residents, so if you have a residential pass, you can get a 1-day pass for a larger vehicle. Do you need, and then if you bring a larger vehicle, do you have to pay the other fee that's down below?
So you would get, it's a free 1-day pass, like say you have a mattress and it doesn't fit in your vehicle. You would pay the bulk rate for that item, but you don't pay like the landscaper price if that's what you were asking.
Oh, okay, so you pay whatever it is. But if your larger vehicle was a van load of construction debris, you would pay for that. So all that does is get you in the door.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that something that a lot of people take advantage of?
For the majority, actually, no. Every so often, someone will ask right when they're buying a pass, but we don't actually have that many people that come back later after they bought the pass saying that they need one.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I think, Dan, you had something?
Yeah, thank you. Outside of the highlighted areas, I'm hearing a lot just over the weekend around the excess cardboard. We all hear a lot about trash and recycling, especially with the rollout of the new bins. Just want to see if you could comment on maybe an additional bin for cardboard. Has that been discussed? Is that something we're considering?
So right now we have, I want to say, a 30-yard roll-off for cardboard, plus we have like a 10 cubic yard dumpster for it. I do believe both did fill this weekend with holiday shopping. I think we have some excess cardboard. The good news is our shipment of carts is supposed to be coming in this week, so anyone who signed to upgrade to a larger cart should hopefully be getting a cart soon. So we're hoping that will reduce some that needs to come to the recycle center, and it will just more be one-offs that are coming to the recycle center versus people that are coming on a weekly basis because they can't fit in the size bin that they have now. We were hoping that we're going to start to not have to empty weekly, but at this point we're still emptying weekly for it.
Thank you. And then the follow-up to that is for the hours of operation. So, of course, I don't have the data when I ask this, but is it possible that maybe we look at, or you could certainly explain why we're not doing this, but like a Saturday and Sunday for the hours of operation for November through December. It's only Saturdays, 8 to 3, but what about if we move that from November through December, Saturday and Sunday? I'm sure you've probably thought about this, but it's just another question that came up.
So the problem with November through December is we're also running the Leaf site. So staff is already split between the recycle center and the Leaf site. That staffing is sort of an issue. I could foresee that if we keep on having cardboard, maybe we open on another weekday that staff, it's not overtime, just to have a staff, on a Wednesday or something open during regular hours. We possibly could look into doing that.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I bring it up because of obviously the holidays, and this is probably, I would imagine, we're seeing the most cardboard during these months compared to any other months, but again, I don't have the data, so I'm glad we're looking into it. Thank you.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Can you give us any feedback on if we've had any success with having non-residents turned away or commercial people educated that they can't come, or after our last discussion, has that changed at all? Are we checking licenses for residency?
I'm not 100% positive. I do know that we talked about someone that was doing large cardboard. I believe Sean was trying to call them, and then I did ask one of the attendants, and he said he hadn't seen them in a while, so it definitely at least lessened. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but I do think that one lessened.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Lisa. I will entertain a motion to adopt the recycling fee changes as proposed in the document attached to tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay. Mike?
Mr. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Zwerko?
Yes.
Mr. Hamabathy?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we talked about this a couple meetings ago, and now it's before us. It's a kind of a proposal to put together a future use of buildings task force. There's a document attached to the agenda that kind of goes over the scope of work, purpose, membership, meeting structure, expected timeline, and staff support. And so, I'll open it up here for select board. If anybody has any comments, questions about this, or if somebody wanted to kind of tee it up as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy to start. Yes, we took the directive at one of your last meetings, couple meetings ago, to develop kind of a framework for a task force to study the 3 buildings with potentially expanding to Glenbrook further down the road. If I recall the conversation correctly, the focus was on those 3 buildings that are currently vacant and seeing how that work goes first before broadening it out to Glenbrook. And there was some conversation about whether that should be a standalone committee or if it could be part of this. And I believe the takeaway was, let's at least start here, and Mike and I worded it as such that it could expand to Glenbrook potentially if it seems like that makes sense. And so what you have in front of you tonight is truly just a draft for you to work from. We just made some best guesses on what membership could or should look like. We've been discussing it on and off in the office, just a bunch of different scenarios. And really the only thing I think Mike and I really felt strongly about was just trying to keep the number of members to a manageable level. If it's any more than 9, really, it gets kind of unwieldy in trying to get something scheduled. So that was really the only thing we felt that strongly about. And we were hoping that you guys really take a look at it and give some thoughts. Our kind of rough idea was that we kind of button this up at the January 5th meeting, put out a call for applications at that time, and then start vetting people as early as that second meeting in January, and then get a goal to have them start meeting mid-February. With a lot of work on their plate, we were hoping that they could wrap it up within 12 months.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about was that timeline of February 2027, whether that was too far out or whether we wanted to maybe at least try to aspire to something that was maybe at the end of 2026. And then the other thing that I did want to discuss was the membership composition, because I know that I'm kind of going back and forth on this a little bit, just because sometimes I think if you have like a select board member on the committee or a finance committee member, that their voice can kind of become the biggest voice and maybe kind of overtake the decision making or the process. And for me, what I kind of foresaw for this was that this would really be resident volunteer led, and folks that really signed up for this would be the ones that were taking the lead and taking charge on this. But I also do know that, at least on the task force that I was on, like at least having some of this background knowledge of how town government worked and some of these processes work, that did come into, that really, I think, did help the task force a lot. So if there's something that maybe we could do where there's like a liaison instead of like maybe necessarily a member that could kind of help guide or ask questions, that might work as well. But that was something that I wanted to discuss.
Can I add on to that?
Yeah.
So I also had some comments on the composition. I didn't know why, I thought, for example, a select board representative wouldn't be as valuable to me as a planning board representative, for example. Like a planning board representative, like that to me has much more, of a purview towards these buildings. A select board member, if they wanted to be on it, they could just apply. That's one thought. In addition, I thought there's a lot of there's some professions here that aren't listed that could be valuable. Like I thought an architect or a retail person would be very valuable. And as I do agree that as many community members as possible would be valuable, I thought instead of having one specified for the historical commission and the historical district commission, maybe there could be one position for either a historical commission or historical district commission member. So those were the kinds of tinkering that I was thinking of. I mean, I don't personally feel like a select board member. I do think it's important that people do understand how the town works. I don't think it should. I think that it's good to have some, maybe 4 of the positions can be assigned to a group of different committees, and 5 for the community. But if we're going to do that, we should have a range, basically. In fact, it doesn't even have to be. It has to be a planning board member. You can kind of position. We don't know who's going to come forward, but we want to be able to have the latitude to pick the best people that we think are going to do the best. So if you put planning board and finance committee or capital planning, and historical commission, find some other way of increasing the latitude so that we can kind of really just see who comes with the expertise that we want, and a select board liaison is great. I don't think the select board has any particular expertise that any other committee member has with regard to the 3 buildings.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if the select board is just, I think, in our position, we just have I think maybe a better view of just kind of full scope of the town and different things going on. And then you just kind of never know how things can interplay with each other. And I think we just have a better idea of like everything that's going on in the town.
And
So
that's good
I
or
think-
bad for the committee?
I think it could be good, but again, I don't know if it'd be good at the cost of actually having a select board member that might, you know.
Guide the process or
Yeah, guide the
something.
process maybe.
Well, what did you find in the fiber task force? Was it?
Yeah, I mean,
Was there somebody on the committee, from the community who really could have taken the reins because of their expertise? Or was it?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say, yeah.
I was just gonna add to Andrew's point about the committee makeup. There's two different ways too, and the way this is structured now, whereas the representative from each of those committees would be voted on by those committees to join the task force. It wouldn't necessarily be, the way it's written
Oh, they
currently.
wouldn't be- we
it
wouldn't be interviewing
applying.
anybody.
It would be
We would just
somebody
be
choosing a
accepting
role, like designee role from their committee. But you don't have to do it that way. You can interview for all the positions. This was just kind of like,
Well, the truth is, when I was on the finance committee, there were multiple times when we were invited to do this, and nobody wanted to do it, so we didn't send anybody.
Yep.
So that's kind of an example. I see. So that could be an argument against combining a spot for someone from these two committees, because then that could be a bit of an issue.
I think Josh had a point too.
Yeah, Josh?
Yeah, I think the committee I'm most experienced with, the middle school building committee, I don't think anyone gives a rip that I'm on the select board. But I can see what you mean about it could kind of sway things. And I know if I was on this committee, I would be in the back of my head thinking what's best fiscally for the town at every step of the way. Maybe that's not the right way to do it. So could be better. Hold on, I have to yell at my kids.
Oh, he was being serious?
I thought he was joking.
Sorry.
I thought you were joking.
They're slamming doors downstairs. I don't know why. But I think that we got an email from Cheryl Thibodeau, the planning board chair today, and I absolutely agree with her that there should be a planning board representative and also a housing authority representative, one of our other elected boards. I think that is, there's definitely a place here for an advocate for affordable housing at one of these locations. Whether that is in the future is something that should at least be discussed, and I think that is that would be an important facet of this, because you know, there may be if somebody came to us once these are available for development, and somebody came to us and asked for a comprehensive permit, they don't necessarily need to get it, or it may not be opened up that way, but it is a possibility. So I think somebody from the housing authority could be useful for that. And then I definitely think that a capital planning or building committee representative is a very, I don't think that should be a split spot. I think we should really, if there's any way to do it, we should get somebody from that board. I think that would be very helpful. And then we could probably combine historical and historic district commission. I understand why they're both on there, but I think maybe their purview does overlap enough that we could probably choose one. But otherwise, I think this is a very good start. I do wonder if we want to move up the date a little bit and then try to push and then they can ask for more time if they need it, but maybe something next year would be good, because we have a couple buildings right now. One is empty, or two are empty, and one is very underutilized. So the sooner we get these things going, the better.
To Josh's point about the capital planning and building committee, because as of right now, obviously that's not an active committee. Would it be, how do you want to, obviously you're not going to make any votes on this tonight, but that may be something you want to consider, having a different board maybe in their stead until they're active, or, that'll be hard to navigate just based on them not being an active committee at this time.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm just pleased that we, with your help, Lynn and Mike, putting this together. Just some of the feedback, just talking to residents is make sure we should have a task force for this. I think it's really important. I agree with everyone's comments. The one group that I I know we were talking about being marginalized earlier. In my opinion, I think we need to show representation from our veterans, considering the building that they had, and that's where they were meeting. They can no longer meet in that building. So, if it were up to me, I would like to see veteran representation as part of this composition. And the other comment I would make, I was on the long-range planning committee, and just some feedback, which I share with everyone has shared similar feedback, was the diverse age groups. There were some students from the high school that were in the long-range planning group, and then we had some other members obviously from Long Meadow, from the adult center, that frequent the adult center. And I just thought having that age group was really important, to have such a difference, and just kind of their view of what the shape of the town should be in the future. So I applaud everyone's efforts, their comments, and helping certainly put this together. Mike and Lynn, thank you.
Lynn, can you repeat why you just thought 9 people was ideal for decision making? Because it sounds like, from listening to this, I mean, I'm just listening down to things that we've kind of all agreed, like, it's not 9. It's planning board, building, historical, finance, housing, that's 5 right there, and other groups.
Yeah.
But is 11 considered too many,
We
in your
can
opinion?
try to work with any number you want. It was my suggestion that it be a smaller number because it's easier to work with people's schedules that way. If you try to coordinate 11 people's schedules, it could not turn out that great, and we might not end up meeting until April. Plus 11 ends up being the number you use based on your quorum. So if we have 11 and they can't get a meeting
I see.
scheduled.
It's harder to do
Yeah.
it.
So that's all, but, if it's down to adding 2, and it gets you the composition that you want, it's fun, we'll work with it.
In the next, under composition, under a selection process, it says members shall be appointed by the select board. It doesn't really say that, like, the finance committee is gonna pick somebody for us. So an alternative could be, this is just a recommended list. Like, we'd love to have a real estate professional, a building professional, but we don't know who we're going to get to apply.
Mm-hmm.
We could just have everybody apply and have these all in mind and pick the 9 people we felt were the best diverse group with the expertise and all the other factors.
Mm-hmm.
Because frankly, to be honest, this would happen on the finance committee, where people were asked to be on, we needed a representative, but people felt overwhelmed with, like, their family schedules, and nobody really volunteered. Or we got somebody who wasn't really as enthusiastic about the whole project as somebody who might apply from the community, for example. So maybe just having people apply from whatever committee you're on. We know we have the list of the ideal representation, but that'll just ensure that the people who take the trouble to apply are the ones who are really interested in the project. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm looking at this and after a conversation, I think what I would be in favor of is maybe removing the select board representative spot and replacing that with the planning board representative, and then combining historic district commission to just have them appoint one person from both of those commissions. And then what I would actually be in favor of is maybe making the finance committee spot and also the housing authority spot non-voting advisory role spots, as just they can advise on the process, be there to kind of like liaison, talk through different things, and then actually just increase the number of community members at large to 7, because then we would have 7 community members, 1 planning board member, 1 member from the historic commission or historic district commission, because I do feel like the planning board and the historic district commission or historic commission, those are the 2 vital bodies that should have a voting role on this task force.
Just to clarify, did you say 1 or for historic district and historical, or keep them separate?
Just 1 from Yeah.
Either,
for both
okay.
of them. Yeah, yeah.
So the only three committees that were specified are planning board, capital building, or capital planning, and then historical, those three.
I also, I mean, I don't know, with capital planning and building, that committee's such in flux right
Yeah.
now.
So
that
what
I
was the
would-
third one that you mentioned?
Housing authority.
No, you said housing and finance would be like non-voting,
Oh, sorry.
advisory. What were the three ones that were being?
Oh, so just two.
Just two?
Just planning
I see.
board, and then either historic commission or historic district commission. And then I think we include,
Then there's a lot of
increase
flexibility.
the community members at large positions to 7.
And if somebody from the finance committee or the housing committee really wanted to be a voting member, they could just apply as a community member,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think so. But then just like having the finance committee or housing authority just kind of appoint a non-voting advisory role, I think would be helpful. Okay. All right.
So 7 at-large community members, but maybe we could also add, we're gonna advertise, right, to like what we're looking for. So in addition to the list, I have no objection to this. I just think that we can also add like architect, retail experience. I think if finance is gonna be an advisory role, it can just, I don't know. I think, is developer, yeah, real estate professional? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's
you
okay.
could, we could put something like finance.
Yeah,
finance
I don't know how you
background or
word that, but
something.
yeah,
I just
financial
don't want to
professional.
deter anybody who
Isn't one of those
Who
things?
wants to be, you know, in part of this project. I just think it'd be good to have as much of a diverse group as possible, and
Yeah.
just cautious to start going down a whole list.
Well, I mean, it is worded to say like ideally representing diverse populations, so it's kind of, you know, it's not like we have to have one person hit each of these. It's just saying that these are just the kinds of things that might be helpful to be on the task force.
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance between saying everybody, but you don't want all, by doing this, it actually helps, I think, encourage a diverse group of people to apply. You know, like, somebody who's a developer might not really, oh, they're looking for me. Oh, I have time, I'm interested.
I think if we communicate how often we're going to meet as well, that would be important. I mean, maybe we don't know which days or times yet, but I just know sometimes people were dropping like flies with long-range planning. Maybe that's because there was too many people possibly to start. I just want to set expectations out of the gate so someone knows what they're kind of getting themselves into.
Well, I also think that making the timeline shorter might help for that. If people think like, okay, it's not something I'm gonna be doing for another, you know, for a very long period of time, but this is gonna be something that's kind of this contained time period that I will just volunteer and give my time to. It might make it more attractive for folks, I think. You know, if we say like a final report should be presented no later than December, I think, 2026.
Just another comment on the possibility that we had discussed of making it also the same group that does the Glenbrook property consideration. It's probably all very applicable, except maybe if we did it for that project, you wouldn't have a historical person, for example. I certainly think we need it for this one, but we can just cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, and I really do not want to kick that can down the road too far, because I do think that that will come up faster than we expect. And
I mean, this committee could focus on this year, 2026, and then can switch right into doing that for 2027.
Yeah.
In an ideal
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, but then we'd also maybe want to change the makeup. It'd be nice to see at Glenbrook, of course,
Parks and Rec
Parks and
person.
Rec, for example,
Yeah.
that we're not seeing on this group, and I think that's really
Maybe
critical.
we would, it's a reason to do another task force later.
The sites are very, very different.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe making those changes to the composition. Do people feel okay with maybe making the expected timeline December 2026 instead of February
Yeah, I think so.
2027?
Yeah, I think if you do that, it's more likely to be a little, it might overshoot, but it'd be less likely to overshoot as much.
Yeah. And then I think, as Andrew pointed out with the selection process, just kind of clarifying that those planning board and historic commission, historic district commission would be like appointed positions from those committees or commissions.
And
instead
7
select
of them,
board.
community.
Subcommittee. And then, then, yeah, and then everything else looked good to me. I didn't have any other edits. Anything else from the select board?
So if you put this out, then we can, like, in January, start bringing in applicants, and then February they can form. Is that right? Is that the ideal?
Yeah, are you looking for us to make these edits and bring it back to you for a final vote, or are you feeling confident in what you just discussed and we're ready to finish it up and put it out?
I would like to get started
I
sooner rather
agree. I
than
think
later.
we can move forward. It's 7 community spots. Anyone interested can apply. And then we can, how long,
I think
we're gonna take a couple meetings probably to get everybody in, like two meetings in January.
You also have to take into consideration, if you do have those designee roles from those specific committees, they will also have to meet to delegate that person. So realistically, that can happen in January, but it may not get pushed till February.
Okay.
There may be
But
some.
you're right, but the more time-consuming part for our purposes is the
Correct.
interviews.
Yep.
And probably if we send an application, say you have like until mid-January, or second meeting in January maybe, we can interview people then, and the first meeting in February we can interview, and then decide in mid-February they can meet at the end of February maybe.
Yeah, so if we want to give like kind of dates for that, we could say maybe like applications are due like January 12th or something, like a week before our second January meeting. And then we'll interview folks on our second January meeting, and then make appointments at our first February meeting.
And interview anyone else who couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And then appoint the rest of them in mid-February, and by then, the planning board and the historical boards could have somebody.
And I don't know exactly how this would work with telling the Historic District Commission,
Yeah, how do you think we should?
You two should get together and pick one person for this. But I don't know if that's just kind of engaging the chairs of both of those commissions to maybe.
But also
hash out a
reminding them
process
anyone
between
can
them.
apply. Like if there's too much interest, a lot of people want to do it, they can just apply for one of the 7 spots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how that would, if
I think, to your point, I think we'd probably reach out to the chairs to have a conversation prior.
Yeah, figure out how they want to do it. Yeah.
I am concerned there's going to be a lot of interest from those, not concerned, but I anticipate a lot of interest from those two groups, for what it's worth.
Okay, great. Yeah, so whenever you guys can get this together and get it out, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would
Thank
some
you.
of the means of communication be for this?
To put the call out for
Yeah,
people
the
to
call
apply.
out
Our social media website, my newsletter, and we could print flyers to post places.
How did we do it for like the task force for the fiber?
Same.
Yeah,
Same.
same.
Enough, okay, yeah. People are gonna know about this, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in it. And then we'll just kind of use like the application we
Oh.
always use.
We also had the survey responses, and I believe some people put email addresses at the end if they wanted to stay engaged in what was
Yeah, you can
happening.
email
I
that
think.
list.
Yeah,
So
we can use
could-
that as a
yeah.
listserv. Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
One thing I will caution, and maybe it's not going to apply in this case, hopefully not, but always putting stuff out at this time of the year, holiday time,
Yeah.
due date January 12th. Like you do have that, scenario where, oh, I didn't see it, or maybe not. Maybe that's not the case. So I think maybe you put it out, but if there's not a lot of applicants, you may want to consider extending it a little bit past
Yep.
holidays. That's just my.
It's gonna be the talk of the
I
town.
think
at
we're gonna
all
get a
these
lot.
holiday parties.
Yeah.
You guys gotta talk it up, yep.
Yeah,
Keep
when,
the word
when
out
folks don't
there.
want to hang out with their families, they'll be
It's
scrolling
that-
Facebook.
It's 11
put in an
days after New Year,
application.
so maybe there's some time to decide whether or not you want to put it forward.
Okay, great. Well, thank you guys
Thank you.
for your work on that. And then moving on to our last agenda item, it's the select board meeting schedule and look ahead, which I thought was really helpful. And I know this is something that we've been talking about for a while, to actually get the whole calendar year scheduled out instead of kind of just like going by fiscal year. And so, and I think even just for the folks at home, this is really helpful to just kind of see what this process is like for the select board and all the kind of things that we tackle in a systematic way. I don't know if there's anything else to add to this, or are we kind of looking for a vote here tonight to just say that this is going to be our calendar for the year?
I don't think we need a vote tonight. Maybe sit on it and figure out if you have any conflicts going into, because right now through July, that's when our meetings are set, but we know how nice it is to be able to plan for the summer and figure out what needs to come to a certain meeting. And if you're planning on only meeting once during July or once during August, it's good to know so that we can plan our business around that. And then also, there was a directive at the last goal setting to build out the build out the meeting schedule based on the calendar year rather than the fiscal year, so that all the meetings are just set and you don't have to worry about that weird time after the election, figuring out when you want to set meetings for the rest of the year. So,
Right.
And you, like I said, you don't have to vote on it. You could sit on it and see if the dates make sense. There's some proposals in there for and/or dates. So.
Yeah, and I think that the way that we did it the last 2 summers with having the July meeting being like the second meeting and the August meeting being the second meeting worked out well. And so I would be in favor of that, especially with July 6th being so close to obviously the 4th. And then August 17th as well, I think the last couple of years, that's kind of just, it seems like folks are getting back into town, school's starting, and it just seems like there's more business to talk about at that time. So, you know, if we're looking for anything there, I would say that we should go with July 20th and August 17th for those months.
Agreed, yeah.
Agreed.
Yep. We'll have to bring back the first meeting in September date. That may be a primary date for a state election.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so we'll have to look into that.
Huge thanks to Mike for putting this together. He did all of this. It's incredible. I'm so glad we have this.
Yeah.
Thanks,
it's
Mike.
great.
No problem. And then obviously, like, the business is gonna change. Like, there's things that are gonna be moved around, and obviously we're gonna add to it. But also I wanna note as well that it eliminates a lot of our Tuesday meetings by making the switch to the 2nd and 4th or the 1st and 4th Mondays in February and March around vacation time. So you'll see we're only meeting 2 Tuesdays out of 26 meetings rather than, I think it was a couple of years ago, we were meeting on 6 or 7 Tuesdays because of the holidays. So,
Why didn't you think about this before?
well, those are already set in stone for this year. Well, hopefully we can do that going forward.
Okay, great. So, so we can sit on this or just.
Vote at your next meeting if you want.
Yeah, we'll vote at our next meeting. Okay, sounds good. All right. Well, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, Mike?
Mr. Levine?
No. Just kidding.
Mr. Zwerko?
Yes.
Mr. Hamabathy?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
See you next year.